Hello and welcome back to Afri-CAN. Today we will be discussing innovative solutions to climate change. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Africa is the continent that is the most affected by this process. Firo Foundation, whose projects are in the Horn of Africa, has seen the devastating consequences of climate change close up. In Somaliland in particular, we have witnessed the damage created by extended drought, killing crops, pasture, livestock, and bringing communities to the brink of famine. When the 2022 drought occurred and ended up killing 43,000 people in Somaliland and Somalia, we organized emergency water provision to 294 Somaliland villages through water trucks. Now, this event was a bit of a catalyst for us. It's when we decided to move beyond emergency provision to create water distribution points and provide safe and accessible water through the dry season on a sustainable and ongoing basis. So we know all about the urgency of developing climate change solutions that are long-term and scalable. Now, I don't think any organization embodies this urgent optimism which we all need to tackle climate change better than the Earthshot Prize. It searches the globe for game-changing innovations that will help us repair our planet, awarding the very best 5 solutions each year £1 million to scale their work. So I have brought together the Earthshot Prize and one of its finalists to tell us what the most cutting-edge African environmental innovations are today, how we can support African innovators, and what it takes to get an innovation from idea to application. Anuradha Bajaj is the Earthshot Prize's Chief Innovative Finance and Investment Officer. She works with changemakers to finance commercially viable models to address social and environmental challenges. She has more than a decade of experience in building innovative approaches to financial inclusion and impact investment, which she developed at DFID and Baytree. And she now works directly with innovators and disruptors to help restore and regenerate our planet with a view to take their ideas to scale. With her today, we have Ronald Pfende, who founded d.light, a company which brings clean and affordable power to rural African communities. d.light manufactures and sells solar home systems and appliances to customers in Africa and India. At the core of their impact, there is an innovative daily pay-as-you-go model through mobile payment providers, which makes their services affordable and accessible. Their pay-as-you-go solution has proven especially attractive to investors, allowing them to scale up. So let's kick it off. My first question will be to both of you, but maybe Anu can respond first. What would you say is the greatest African innovation of the last 10 years?
Well, hello, Ron, and hello, Francesca. So nice to be here with both of you today. We were really inspired by the incredible work being done across the African continent, and we're really committed to offering our platform and celebrating climate creativity in the region, going well beyond the Earthshot Prize in Cape Town last year. You are right, there are many fantastic innovations to choose from. In 2024 alone, we had over 319 nominations from organizations based in Africa, and over 715 nominees were actively delivering positive impact across Africa. The greatest is a hard ask. Across the hundreds of nominations that we've reviewed, we see some common themes emerging again and again. These center around agri-value chains, energy and mobility, indigenous communities and nature, food security, jobs, and livelihoods. Any solution that cuts across multiple themes, and many do, has great potential to succeed. d.light, an Earthshot Prize finalist in 2024, is an exemplar in this respect, with its incredible innovation cutting across off-grid energy access, job creation, improving education outcomes, and empowering more than 180 million people across Africa. They're a shining example of innovation in Africa.
Excellent. Well, Ron, what would you say to that?
Well, hi, Francisca and Annie. First of all, Annie, thank you so much, for that recognition for d.light. And I think there's unpaid, there's many great innovations there, big and small. And, for me, it's always trying to look at something that cuts across, all the different aspects, in the different value chains. And I always come back to the same place, which says, mobile money is one way that value can move across all the different pillars within the continent. And, I always have to try and remind people that, when you mention mobile money, everyone thinks of a smartphone and a banking app. No, this is the ability to do banking on a feature phone, the oldest Nokia phone you ever had, and being able to bank on that, has really opened up the ability for financial inclusion across the of the continent. And, when we talk a little bit more about d.light, you'll find that it was one of the key foundations for us to be able to introduce our pay-go solution and, take it out, across all communities across the continent. So as an enabler for the continent, I would have to come back to mobile money.
Excellent. Thank you. Going back to Anu, my second question would be, starts from the fact that there are undoubtedly many good ideas out there, which are never developed nor applied.
Yeah.
And so people with great ideas, especially in Africa, need support. But the dilemma is that often those who could provide that support do not know who the innovators are. So how does the Earthshot Prize identify these top innovators in the environmental space? And what criteria specifically do you use?
So let me start with our process a little bit. We work with nominators across the globe who nominate the best ideas they're seeing in their respective sectors and geographies into the Earthshot Prize process. A community of nominators and experts in Africa has steadily grown over the last few years. And last year alone, we had over 100 nominators and experts working in the region who nominated the best ideas they're seeing in Africa into our pipeline. Our objective is always to showcase, we may not be able to give a prize to each of those ideas, but we do know that there are many more fantastic solutions out there that are worth shining a light on. Our objective is to showcase many more of these ideas and to raise awareness about African innovation. We've done this in many different ways. For example, through our Africa Innovates campaign. That's one example. The second one, which I'd like to dwell a little bit more on, is through Launchpad, our funding platform, which we unveiled and piloted last year. And after the pilot, we showcased our first cohort commencing with African solutions in November last year when we were in Cape Town. And we currently have about 15 African-based solutions showcased on Launchpad who are working across Africa, and we've already been successful in catalyzing financing for 6 of them. So you can see that this is a great way to showcase many more solutions from our pipeline and to connect them to funders to raise awareness about these solutions. And another example I'd like to give is of setting up an accelerator program in Africa last year. So when the Earthshot Prize was going to South Africa, we were able to join forces with 91, South Africa's largest asset manager, who have now set up an accelerator program in support of the Earthshot Prize. And this can help support and grow many more African solutions. So those are just a handful of ideas of how we are connecting many more solutions to potential funders and other ways to share stories about them and raise awareness.
Excellent. Can you just tell us a little bit more about how the Launchpad functions, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may already know this, but the Earthshot Prize has a very wide range of solutions that get nominated into our pipeline, from not-for-profit to conservation organizations working at a community level, for-profit, climate tech type of ventures, cities, NGOs, policy think tanks, governments. So we don't just work with for-profit, commercially oriented solutions, but the whole range. And with Launchpad, what is unique is we've actually brought a whole range of funders onto Launchpad, exactly the kind of support that our entire pipeline needs, from philanthropic funders to foundations, family offices, VC funds, asset managers, and the large public institutions as well. So the intention is that we're showcasing many more of our solutions from our pipeline and connecting them to appropriate funders who can then support them in many different ways.
That's very clear. Thank you so much. Back to Ron now. As a finalist of the 2024 prize, could you maybe briefly tell us how you came up with your innovation, how you got to know about the prize, and also why you think you were selected?
Yeah. So I think as with any most great innovations, it's always a number of iterations. I think, the original idea and the d.light is, there's been a number of different iterations. But I think if we go back to the foundation of d.light, it was one of our co-founders. His name is Sam Goldman, and he was, a in the Peace Corps in Benin. So out in the middle of nowhere, serving his time, and his neighbor son had an accident. They were using a kerosene lamp. The lamp fell down. There was a fire, and unfortunately, the son was injured. He survived, but was injured, and he then walked away, from that incident with a number of things to say. One, in the 21st century, why are these accidents happening? Why are we still burning kerosene for light? There must be a different way of doing it. And from there, then came this work to start initially for just a simple solar lantern. And, the target was there to say, let's provide solar lanterns for children to be able to read and study at night and take them away from kerosene. With the target price that the maximum price or cost of this had to be less than $5, because that's as much as these communities can afford. And for the first few years, that's what the company did. But as you sold these lanterns, the feedback from everyone was to say, but we need more. Yes, I've got this small light, but I've got a whole house I need, to have light. I also want to be able to plug in appliances. Just because I live in the rural areas, I also want a TV. I want a radio. I can't do that from a lantern. And this is where, the innovation around PayGo came about to say, you have communities, we know they have limited income. They probably at best, are surviving on $2 a day. How do you give them a solution that costs them 30, 40 cents a day that they can afford, but gives them a grid-like experience that, someone in the city would have? And that was the evolution of PayGo. And that's how PayGo literally works. It's something, we create what's called a solar home system, which is a source of power, provides lighting. You can plug appliances to it. And the consumer then pays, depending on the product, they use somewhere between 30 and 50 US cents a day to be able to get power to power their house. And this is less than what they would have typically paid for kerosene, most families spend between 75 cents and $1 a day on kerosene. So they spend less on the power. They get much better lighting. You're not burning of fossil fuels, and you're taking away all the other hazards of, having these fossil fuels inside the homes in all these communities. So very iterative, but, start off with a small idea, continue talking to our consumers and developing something that actually works for them.
Incredible. So interesting to hear the different stages. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Ron. So I guess, my last question to you, Ron, is if you can kind of help us understand, in what ways the Earthshot Prize supported your specific needs in the innovation acceleration phase in particular, once you became a finalist and you joined the Earthshot Fellowship program.
Yeah. So I think one of the challenges of working on some of these, very new technologies or new innovations is you end up working what I call a kind of echo chamber. There's a group of you that know what's happening, and amongst yourself, you know what's happening, but what you're doing never gets out there, right? And to me, that's really the first thing. Just Earthshot giving you, I call it the stamp of credibility, simply saying, you are on the right track. Yes, I spoke about the d.light story in, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. That's a 17-year journey. And someone just giving you that stamp of credibility. To me, that even one within the organization itself, it's a great boost of morale. I mean, our organization is very energized. The Earthshot Prize was, October, November. December, we had our best month ever. The teams were just motivated and all. And, these are sort of some of the intangibles you don't see. Then you talk about externally, right? We are in a place where if I am, talking to an investor, I'm talking to someone, again, there is that stamp of credibility. Someone has looked at this works. I'm talking to someone who is, doing something that is meaningful. So that's, I think, the first thing, the step of credibility. The other bit is then just the community that's created, through meeting other finalists, talking to other like-minded people, and understanding that in all our different ways, sometimes we encounter the same challenges, and we can help each other, we can lean it on each other, and we can help each other as you continue to grow.
Incredible initiative. Yeah, thank you. And I guess finally, question to Anu to kind of wrap things up. To borrow the name of your latest campaign that you mentioned, Anu, concept that Africa innovates is not fully understood by the mainstream. I think, from my point of view, it's partly because it takes time to unroot decades of aid dependency pessimism over Africa. But what's fascinating is that after only 4 years of the prize, there have been 16 finalists based in or creating change across Africa. So, how do you think we can change perceptions for good? Big question.
Big question, Francesca. Well, first of all, we are here to use our platform for good, to show, not just to tell, that Africa is a true innovation leader. So our Africa Innovate series, we partnered with local African production companies to showcase the inspirational stories of 15 innovators. That was part of the campaign. This content was captured by local photographers and film crews. The campaign shines a light not only on the incredible solutions, but on the people behind them, the people that deliver them, and those whose lives are improved by them. The human stories of climate creativity. We think of it like we need to bring out people's lives and what's happening to people's lives. We want everybody to be inspired by these stories, looking around them to spot climate creativity in their own respective areas. To do this, we're asking our community, what drives your optimism for the future? Share the innovation that you want to celebrate, and tell us what you want to do to change our planet by using #MyEarthshot. So we are bringing them in, we're empowering them, we're asking them to share their stories instead of other people telling their stories. Changing perceptions is hard. You're absolutely right, Francesca, and it takes time. But it is possible through creative and authentic storytelling. I think that authenticity is quite important. The stories that our audiences can connect with and feel like they're a part of. And that's how we are trying to bring about this change.
That's beautiful. It's very much our perspective as well at the foundation. Well, thank you both for this really stimulating discussion. In our next episode, we'll be going back to basics, I guess. We'll be discussing some innovative approaches to philanthropy itself. We could have invited you to that as well, Anu. You can't be there every week.
There are many more people who have loads to say beyond.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you so much.